Hello dear students, today we are going to study our lesson 2, We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together, written by Gordon Cook and Alan East. Students, please do not forget to note down the name of the writers because often it is asked, and specifically now that you will be having your MCQ based tests. So in that case, there is a possibility of not only the question related to who is the poet, but even for your chapters, who is the writer. It is a possibility for us to have a question based on authors, writers, as well as poets. Now, as this title itself justifies, most important thing that is required in life, what is it? Definitely, I'm sure many of you might have answered that most essential thing for anyone is to have courage, grit, conviction, and definitely having full faith in one's ability. And this beautiful chapter also talks about the same important storyline that we are going to identify in this wonderful chapter. If you'll see in the very beginning, they have mentioned certain expressions which are important for us to know, but we'll be revising it once when we complete understanding this chapter. As this chapter begins, you will identify that certain dates are mentioned, year is surely mentioned, and the writer is mentioning that in July 1976, my wife Mary, son Jonathan, 6, daughter Suzanne, 7, and I set sail from Plymouth, England to duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. Now, this is what is the beginning line. So, this definitely informs you that who all are there in this chapter. Main characters are identified in the very first line of this chapter. So, let's quickly see as to who all are there. We identify narrator. We identify here Mary, wife of narrator. 2 children, Jonathan, his son, Suzanne, daughter, and by the end you will be reading your second paragraph. You will identify that yes, here it's also mentioned about American Larry Vigil and Swiss Herb Siegler crewmen. If you can read this, let me underline it for you. Swiss Herb Siegler and American Larry Vigil. So this lets you know that the main characters which I have even mentioned in my notes sent to you, that important characters are number 1 narrator, wife of narrator Jonathan, Suzanne, as well as 2 crewmen, which in the story I'll be naming them as Larry and Herb. Larry Vigil and Herb. Let's continue further and let me just tell you the gist of it once when we will move on. Dear students, you will identify that narrator is a man of courage, commitment and conviction, which you can see throughout in this beautiful chapter. You will be explained and you might have come across some of the exemplary courage shown by Jonathan as well as by Suzanne. Now, what exactly it is? So, let's identify, dear students. On July 1976, please underline this and it should be known to you. that they started their journey to world voyage. They tried to duplicate the round the world voyage made 20 years earlier, as it was read by me. Now, what you will identify that they pleasantly sailed down from west coast of Africa to Cape Town. Can you see this here? Let me select a pen to identify, to make you understand. Cape Town. Up till this particular time, dear students, everything was perfectly fine. There was no problem at all. They further sailed to southern Indian Ocean. They suddenly encountered strong wind on the second day of Cape Town and was continued for few weeks. Waves rised up till 15-meter long, as high as a mast. I hope you understand. Once when we talk about ship, there is a long mast, and that definitely came into danger, and there was seen ominous silence. What does it actually means? Everything looked as if it stands still. So much of silence all around. It was around 6 p.m. that it was tremendous explosion shook the deck, and powerful flow of water broke over the ship. Wave Walker was getting sunk and Captain was badly injured. Captain could be seen with certain level of courage that he continued sailing the ship up till he identified the point that now it's really difficult for him further to continue with it. Anyhow, we identify that they started, once when they identified that now there's too much of water inside their ship, two crewmen, I hope you know them, Larry Vigil and Herb, they started pumping out water and settled to make necessary repairs to save the boat from sinking. Other problems also arose, and what those other problems were? Electric pump short circuit. Yes, you heard me correct, dear students. Electric pump short circuit. Also, at the same time, the water level rose threateningly. Daughter Suzanne was badly injured. They didn't know now what to do, what not to do. But yes, there was only and only hope for the captain, that he wished, he wanted to reach to the island, which was only possible if the wind will slow down, to reach Amsterdam, which was at that time only few hundred kilometers to the east, but yet it looked that as if so much of distance needs to be covered up. But anyhow, they tried managing it somehow or the other. Dear students, I hope this part is clear to you. Somehow I managed to stretch canvas and secure waterproof. This whole part is something that I have explained you. Now, when we move on further, you will identify that an exemplary courage was shown by Jonathan. Who said these lines? We are not afraid to die if we can be all together. Dear students, this line was spoken by Jonathan. Yes, you heard me correct. This line was spoken by Jonathan, and if you can see this, you will identify that he was the one to show courage. I'm talking about Jonathan, son of the narrator, and daughter Sue. About her bravery, though she had a bumped head, but still she was inspired. She inspired the captain to fight the sea and protect his family. Anyhow, It was January 4 and January 5th. From January 4th till January 5th, you will identify that it was almost 36 hours of continuous pumping out of water. There was now only few water left. They hoisted the storm jib and headed in the direction of two islands. Now, what is the reason of having a storm jib? This definitely will be helping them to locate the location, and if anyone else sees them, could locate. Black clouds suddenly, this was not the end. Again, it was a testing time for them. Suddenly, they identified that black clouds built up around 4 p.m. and sea was getting its waves higher and higher, higher and higher. It again made narrator worried that how is it possible for us to go ahead in our journey? But still, he wanted to see to it that everything goes on smoothly. On January 6th, they saw Wave Walker ride out, storm and wind east. They expected to see the island at around 5 p.m. But they wake up 6 p.m. and thought they probably missed the island. They were wrong, and they touched the shore at Isle Amsterdam. That was the period for them to rejuvenate, to feel happy, and to see that yes, finally we are now safe. Is there any significance of the title? The significance of the title is surely there, because the title says is taken from Jonathan's remark. And what is that Jonathan's remark, dear students? You will identify, and you might have up till now, what he mentions is we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. It brings definitely, yes, bravery, grit and courage of the captain's family, and love each member has for others. Love as well as respect, dear students. Love as well as respect that we identify in this beautiful chapter. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. So therefore, let's identify what is the theme of the story. Human nature of knowing and taking on challenges, of course, yes, and to show bravery and the element of luck that finally they were able to identify the islands, and it seemed to them as if this island, if you'll check out in this beautiful line, you will identify that pinpricks in the vast ocean. It tells that it made them identify that as if it's just only and only these two islands. It made them to see that probably it was the only last hope for them. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. So dear students, I am sure that this chapter is clear to you, and you will now be able to identify with this beautiful chapter. Definitely, yes, the role of Larry Vigil, an American who joins the narrator and Mary at Cape Town to help them tackle one of the world's roughest seas. Herb Siegler, who was a Swiss, who also joins them at Cape Town to help them cross the southern Indian Ocean. Do not forget about Suzanne, narrator's 7-year-old daughter, who displays immense courage throughout their voyage. Jonathan, of course, yes, he is narrator's son, who shows immense strength and optimism even in the direst time, even in the difficult time. We identify that never ever it happens that any time he is the one to give narrator the strength, and he is the one who said these lines that we are not afraid to die if we all can be together. Hope you enjoyed this beautiful chapter, where it's clearly mentioned that on the morning of January 3rd and various dates like January 5th and January 6th is more or less clear to you. I'm sure about it. So, dear students, the narrator went to comfort the children towards the end. He tried them to assure whatever best he could do, and this is what something very nicely it has been explained in this chapter. Please read this chapter for more understanding, and if you have any doubt, anytime you can ask me. All the best, dear students, and wish you good luck.